I like to think every time I go out there to make everybody look like they're nothing. I don't want nothing to change. I wanted to go down in history. George Foreman can't take a punch. Nobody's ever hit him hard. He's never got up the floor bleeding and stumbling and hurting. And can he take a punch? I want all this to continue. After I'm out of the boxing game, retired with a beard, I want that to still be a question, that I never fought anybody.
The story of George Foreman transitioning from a young wrecking ball champ into the immovable, eventual oldest champ of all time is well celebrated and recognizable to even the most casual of sporting fans.
I didn't come back for the Cadillac in the window, one big payday. I came back to be heavyweight champ of the world.
However, due to lazy and easy-to-tell narratives, people often associate his first loss to Muhammad Ali in 1974 as the end of the young George chapter, when in fact, he was actually crowned the Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year in '76, with wins over Ron Lyle and Joe Frazier respectively, followed up by some forgettable KOs over lingering contenders in the direct aftermath.
I'm just going to stay active, fight the top contenders and whoever else will fight me.
The real end to Foreman's first career came back in the spring of '77, losing a very taxing and grueling 12-round war with heavy underdog Jimmy Young. Foreman threw the kitchen sink against a man who had folded to big hitters like Ernie Shavers in the past. So, when Young absorbed everything Foreman had to offer and exposed his glaring stamina issues, Foreman's stock in the heavyweight division plummeted, leaving himself no option but to hang up the gloves at just 28 years of age.
Wouldn't you like to get back in the ring with Muhammad Ali again? And your answer was, I'd like to get in church with him.
That's the truth.
10 years and thousands of fast food burgers later, Foreman returned. Now a true representation of his big nickname, weighing 40 pounds heavier and seemingly punching harder than ever.
Foreman just teeing off on Sikorsky.
No question, one of the hardest hitters. Look at that.
He can get you out of there. He's a heavy-handed puncher. I don't care if he's 60 years old. He can still whack you.
What a shot. What a right hand.
Because George Foreman is the hardest hitting heavyweight of all time.
Sanders cannot stand in there with Foreman.
And he has the highest knockout ratio of any champion in heavyweight history.
Another intense blow to the head.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, this fight last night went 4 grueling minutes.
However, his comeback wasn't treated in the traditional manner in the sense of a few warm-ups and then back into title contention. Foreman literally started from scratch, fighting 20-plus journeymen consecutively with a few sprinkled contenders and former champs, much in the same manner as how a newly transitioned, protected but promising heavyweight would.
I've had 24 boxing matches, 23 by knockout, and some of the critics have said, especially the media type, they've said, hey, George hasn't fought anybody. Well, they only saying it because it's true.
George wasn't bothered by the bad press around his mismatches. He was making a good living and slowly building toward a mega fight with Tyson or Holyfield.
I mean, I can whip Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas, and Xander Holyfield. I can whip them all in one night.
Amongst the list of forgettable blowouts upon his return, there was an anomaly. An actual decent heavyweight that wasn't an over-the-hill former gatekeeper or blown-up cruiserweight. Instead, an in-shape, former regional champ with a standout puncher's record of 33 knockouts in 36 wins. Tony, the Tongan Torpedo, Fulilangi.
You know, he's a big farmer, and I'm looking forward to try to miss those and try to land mine.
Fulilangi was a familiar name to heavyweight boxing fans in the 80s, as he built a reputation as a big puncher with strong Tongan genetics by wiping the floor with the usual suspects of journeyman fighters of that time. He did, however, hold a significant victory over Jimmy Young, the last man to defeat Big George, as I mentioned previously, although the former champ might as well have been called Jimmy Old by then, as the version that Tony supposedly beat was a far cry from the blood and guts warrior that put Foreman's early career to rest.
He's not going to be out there waiting to be intimidated by George Foreman. He's not as tall as me, so which means he's going to have that Tyson sort of thing. Try to keep your head low as possible and try to stay out of the range of my power, which is what everybody does anyway.
Usually, the most noteworthy and deciding stat on the tail of the tape would be the age. But with George taking such a long break for the ring, being 14 years older than Fulilangi was unlikely to be as glaring as it would be for a career-long boxing veteran. However, Foreman, being 2 inches taller and 35 pounds heavier, was certain to be a standout detail, as the two squared up for Foreman's first significant test since his loss to Jimmy Young 11 years prior.
Foreman, by the way, is now ranked number 17 in the world. Fulaungi trying to stay away. So has all the other opponents for Foreman. This time Foreman is moving in at this rate. If he continues to fight, this is intense as we have seen him in some time. This is going to be a very short fight.
Trying to flick it up.
And Fulaungi cannot get cornered. He has to make every attempt to get out of it. There's a left, and there's a right by Fulaungi. Oh, a big right by Foreman, and now they're trading here in the first round. Fulaungi has gained an opponent as Foreman has seen in some time.
And Fulilangi, 81.8% of his fights end in knockout. For Foreman, 91.5%. Oh, a couple hundred. He's got
into the 80s.
Incredible arms.
Figure is about 80, and now Fulilangi get in the corner, almost picked up off the canvas, and he battles back with a couple of rights.
What many people try to do.
Fulilangi came out full of confidence, perhaps too much, as he was close to falling over at times from winging his right hand. Foreman, however, remained composed.
Fulaungi is just trying to get that one shot in, looking for the home run. He is taking tremendous punishment already in the first round, and now fighting out of Salt Lake City. And he is game here in the first 3 minutes.
And George Foreman just winds up and he throws those bombs. What power this man has.
Foreman started to find his rhythm and range in the second, manhandling his opponent via brutal combinations, with his damaging bodywork taking notable effect.
What Fulilangi tries to do is he tries to lean over in his defense, crouch over. When he does, Foreman sees it, and he goes for the uppercut.
And he's down for the first time. 3 knockdown rule in effect. He's looking right at the timekeeper.
Foreman, being one of the most vicious finishers in the sport's history, hardly seems like a laughing matter. But Tony appeared to take it in his stride, despite being well aware of the inevitable follow-up from Big George once he made it back to his feet.
And he beats the clock, playing with the timekeeper. And smiling. What a moment to be smiling.
He's smiling, and that man will wipe the smile off your face. George Foreman, here he comes again with those big bombs. Foreman's trying to rough him up. There's a big right hand, and
Fulaungi needs the rest. He sees the count. He has 50 seconds now to survive. One more time, he's down. It's over. Here in the second, that could be it. Oh, Foreman thought it was over. Fulaungi responds. Wild swing, and it's over. I don't think he even connected.
We all know Foreman punches like a monster, but I'm not sure his swinging fists can generate a gust of wind strong enough to knock a man out. In all seriousness, Fulilangi was beaten into submission well before the final knockdown, resulting in a fan-friendly but albeit comfortable second-round KO victory for George Foreman.
George, 226 of the second round. Any problems tonight?
Right, he caught me with a couple of good right hands, and I thought that my left eye was going to start swelling, so I had to really go on for a knockout, although I didn't intend to do it earlier. The left jab was working, but I didn't expect him to have so much power. At 216, I guess you just can't play anybody cheap. You told me about that earlier today.
Did he come at you like you expected?
No, I didn't expect it. I thought he would be more cautious and he wouldn't have half the amount of power that he had.
He's got some power in that right hand. That was catching you over the left eye.
Yeah, it was shaking me up a little bit too. So we're going back in the gym and work on that because there are some hard hitters around. You just gotta, hey, he's got knockouts too.
Despite being just 26 years of age, Fulilangi retired after the Foreman fight and went on to become one of the most well-respected and decorated trainers in oceanic boxing history, notably nurturing Tonga's most talented and lionized boxer in their entire history, Pia Wolfgram, during his amateur and professional career in the mid-90s. Tony did himself an injustice by claiming he took a dive against Foreman. I think he said it in a way that he thinks makes his loss look more dignified, when in actuality, he should be more proud of the fact he gave one of the best heavyweights of all time a decent scrap before eventually succumbing to his overall class of crushing power. There's no shame in that.
I'm having a good time. I'm a top fighter. I'm back. I'm ready to fight Mike Tyson. I'm ready to fight not only Mike Tyson, but whoever considers himself champion. But I want to fight Mike Tyson. I'm not interested in fighting contenders. I want to fight Mike Tyson. Why pretend?
Foreman v. Tyson, the one that got away. Who would you guys pick in that one if they hypothetically fought in, say, 1990? Let me know in the comments below.
I came back to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world.
Now, is this
I
gonna
want this
happen?
Mike Tyson.
Is it gonna
I
happen?
will assure you I'll do it in the same fashion, 1 or 2 rounds. I guarantee.